Well, Mukesh Kapila is an emeritus professor of the humanitarian affairs at University of Manchester and joins us live now from Geneva. Mukesh, thank you very much for talking to us. Josep Borrell calling on the bloc for a two-state solution, but what realistically can the EU achieve here where the US has failed?
Well, I think the two-state solution seems to be the only offer in town around the world. And the US cannot do it on its own because of its own domestic policy. And of course, Europe is also divided on this particular issue. Having said that, I think if the different power blocs, whether it's the European Union, whether it's the US, whether it is the Middle East, if they come together and assert more pressure on both sides, both the Palestinian side as well as the Israeli side, then I think that offers us a way forward. But, you know, the devil lies in the detail. It's one thing to talk glibly about a two-state solution, but the immediate questions are, where will the boundaries lie? How viable will it be? What is Israel going to give up in order to create a unified Palestine with access to the sea and the different bits and pieces? At the moment, it's like its territory has already been gobbled up by Israeli settlers. So there's going to have to be a lot of give and take. Now, talking about that give and take, it's never too early to start, even if there is no ceasefire on the ground, because if you don't have a vision for where you want to end up, then actually the motivation or the incentive to stop fighting is even less.
Is it, in your opinion, Mukesh, is it the EU's responsibility? Is it the right time, indeed, for the EU to be getting involved?
Oh, I think it is the right time for every well-minded nation in the world and every bloc in the world on every continent to be involved. This is a global problem, and as we are seeing now, the war in Gaza is not restricted. It's now spread out to the Red Sea and maybe even to West Asia, perhaps, with Iran's involvement and so on. And so I do not think there is any bar on this. And the United Nations seems to be paralyzed by its traditional problems in the Security Council and its own power blocks. Therefore, I think any bloc of nations or any individual nation which has influence or has good offices, I think should join in. Now, if the problem is if all the blocs agree and get themselves on the same page, we're not quite there yet. Because the US has a more nuanced view, because it's very pro-Israeli at the present time, because of its own domestic reasons, apart from anything else. And the European Union is probably more balanced, but it's split amongst all the different countries of the EU, and is fighting its own. We've got a war on Europe's border in Ukraine. So I think it is very important that the Middle East and Asian countries should also come in with a good offices function. But I think a common approach, a roadmap, I'm not even sure if it's a roadmap is even feasible at the present time, but certainly a vision. It's not too early to talk about a vision of Jews and Israelis and Palestinians being able to coexist in historic Palestine territory, sharing the territory between them. Because, the ideal solution, of course, would be to have one country where both Jews and Palestinians and Arabs and Christians are treated equally. But that's so improbable that we're left with the option that you can only do this if the historic territory is divided. But the devil is in the detail, as I say. You cannot have a small pocket of ever more shrinking Palestine and give that freedom. I think the day after such a Palestinian state, we'll be at war again. It's not worth having a two-state solution unless the Palestine that emerges from it is one that is going to be viable and will have all the dignities of an independent state. And I can't see that happening in the foreseeable future unless there's a massive mindset change in both Israel and obviously change of government perhaps, but also on the Palestinian side, and very definitely Hamas is a block to this. So that probably has to be solved as much as anything else.
Mukesh, thank you very much for your time and for your thoughts this evening. Mukesh Kapila speaking to us there live from Geneva in Switzerland.
Thank you.